Good morning. I wanted to just share with you an experience I had this morning while I was meditating. Um, this thought popped into my head about my pursuit in uh, simplifying the explanation or parts of the explanation of what I do in the financial world. And the thing that kept popping into my head today while I was meditating was um, the planting of a tree, and then obviously the life cycle of a tree. And I started thinking about the different types of trees. I was in the landscape business for 20 years, so I have some understanding of all that. And obviously everybody has an understanding of how trees grow. But I'm thinking about the correlation or the analogy of inside this whole life tool. It's very much like planting a tree, that you first have to dig a hole, buy a tree, or get a seedling, maybe that started somewhere else. And you have to give forth some time and possibly money, capital. You got to invest a little bit of time, invest a little bit of capital, plant the tree, take the time, then nurture the tree, which is very much like starting the policy, feeding the policy, and nurturing it. And it's very sensitive in the very beginning, meaning that it needs care. And the tree does too. You need to water it, make sure it doesn't get dried out. But then after a year, maybe 2 years, and certainly 3 years, and the same as with the inside the policy, certainly around after 3 years of feeding it, and yeah, I know you know what I mean, that it begins to become stronger and bigger. And eventually, you don't have to do anything with the tree. The tree grows to the point where it can pretty much take care of itself. And then, just like the policy, it begins to become more efficient. It grows faster, stronger, bigger, more things you can do with it. And like the tree eventually starts to have seedlings, and it drops these seedlings. And those seedlings can be like the dividend that's inside the policy. The dividend begins to grow and grow, and there's more and more of them. It's exactly the same. But the thing about these two things, the tree and this policy, is it takes time. And so thinking that this is fast, you could plant a tree like a poplar tree, a columnar poplar, and they grow very fast, but they're not real strong. So it's also like the policy, the way you design it. It can be very quick in the way it grows, but it's not real solid. It can get knocked off, it can get knocked over. So if it's properly designed like the tree for the space and the goal, meaning like I want to have a big old oak tree, or I want to have a big maple tree that's a shade tree that I can be protected under from the sun or whatever. Same thing with the policy, that this begins to drop dividends of seedlings. And so you would, with the policy, you might decide, well, I'm going to start another policy. Maybe I'll start it on my wife, maybe a child of mine, and then grandchildren, and then possibly make a note in your will that you want money from your death benefit to go to other policies in the future, people that you don't even know. Who knows? You can create anything you want, just like the planting of the trees. You can plant a Japanese maple, Doesn't get really tall, but quite beautiful. Takes time. Grow a poplar very quickly, or you can grow a nice big maple. It just depends on what you want to do, what your goals are, and the use of it. And anyway, I had this thought this morning, and I thought I'd just share it with you, that it takes time, but it grows strong. And as it grows stronger, you can do more with it. And you gather more and more capital inside the policy to eventually, generationally, your family doesn't need to go to the nursery to get a tree because you have all these seedlings in your own yard, on your own property. Just like the policy, you can start new ones, and eventually you don't need to go to the bank. You are the bank, just like you are the nursery. It's the same exact thing, but it does take time. And if you're patient and think about it, the growth of the tree eventually goes like this. It's not just flat. It really starts to take off. A little tree is going to do this, but boy, once it gets going and it gathers more sun, it just takes off, and it's the same thing. So thank you for your time, and until next time.